Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to continue our topic this week on who is Jesus from John's Gospel, chapter 8. Now, last time we looked at a question that the people raised: who are you? Today, I want to look at his comments, at least one of them, to answer that question. Verse 12 of chapter 8, the Gospel of John, it says this: Jesus spoke to the people once more and said, I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness because you will have the light that leads to life. Think about light and darkness for a minute. If you're in a dark home and you can't see where you're going, you turn a light on or you get a flashlight and it illuminates the darkness. In fact, some have even said that darkness flees from the light. It runs away from it almost. And because there's light there, you can see where to go. Well, now that's for most of us. There are those in our midst who don't have good sight. I'm becoming more and more aware of that as my wife loses her vision. She has very little left, actually. And then as I listen to people around me who are developing or have developed macular degeneration and they've lost part of their sight field. Now, I'm fortunate. I got good eyes. Ever since I was a kid, I had to wear glasses and then contact lenses, but I could still see well with them. And then as I got older and I had cataract surgery and lens implants, I can see to do almost everything except read up close without glasses. I'm truly blessed. And if you can see everything around you, you are blessed. But this idea of darkness that overcomes our lives, our world, is very different than the darkness that can be illuminated by a flashlight. Now, my son, one of my sons, who for a number of years was in real trouble, I can say that for the last almost 2 years now, he's really done well. But we talk about that often, and he'll say this: I was in a really dark place. Now, my son has to be diligent the rest of his life because that darkness wants to come back and it wants to overcome him. And it will if he lets it. But it's a darkness that consumes his soul and his whole person, and he becomes something different. That's no different, really, than someone who walks through life aimlessly. What am I here for? What am I accomplishing? I'm not getting anything done. Or those who struggle with depression and other psychological or mental illnesses that prevent them from living a normal, fruitful, vibrant life. There are lots of religions in the world. None of them, but Christianity, have a person who was raised from the dead and who says what this person says. Buddha said, I'll lead you to the enlightened way. Muhammad says, follow the Quran and that'll teach you how to live a good life. But Jesus goes even further. He says this again. I'll read it. I am the light of the world. Jesus is the one who provides, well, to use the early illustration, to be the flashlight. Jesus is the one by whom abundant life is measured. Now, I know in our culture we measure it by money and status and prestige and things, but they don't last and they don't bring happiness. Oh, they might bring joy for the moment, and maybe some of those folks are relatively happy most of the time, but that's not what we find out when we get to know them more closely. What brings happiness is what happens on the inside, not the outside. And Jesus is the light that shines on the inside. And he says, if you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness. You won't have to walk in fear. You won't have to walk in anxiety. You won't have to walk in questioning everything all the time. You can walk with confidence and assurance that you're on the right path. And he says here, because you will have the light that leads to life. Who is Jesus? He's the one who gives you life. Meaningful, abundant, never ending, overwhelming goodness and joy life. Yes, things happen in this world, and they happen to people who want to follow Jesus. They happen to me. They've probably happened to you. But the life that comes from his light can't be dampened by what happens around us. We can let it do that, but we don't have to. You see, Jesus is saying here, and he makes the scribes and Pharisees uh, unhappy. In fact, the next verse says, the Pharisees replied, you are making those claims about yourself. Such testimony is not valid. But it was valid, and it is valid, and it will be valid for all time. John chapter 8 here, in this simple verse, tells us that Jesus is the one who brings life. So I'll leave you with that thought. And you think about yours. Do you have life? I don't mean do you have a good life with lots of stuff. I mean, do you have life on the inside that glows and allows you to glow to all that you meet? Well, think about it. I'll be back tomorrow, share another couple of thoughts. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. So until tomorrow, God bless you and have life and all that that means. Take care. I'll talk to you again.